Alison Mobbs, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me this morning about your entrepreneurial journey and to ask some very, in-depth questions about your particular journey. We all know you as quite a prolific entrepreneur who's business owner of multiple businesses. You're also a true entrepreneurial leader in the space of especially the rural, regional, or remote areas, especially in Queensland, through your work with QRRRWN, which I'm sure you'll say a little bit more about also in this interview. But I'm really very curious to know a little bit more about you as a female entrepreneur and also about the businesses, your businesses, as well as your other work that you're involved in.
Certainly. Thanks, Retha, and thanks for the opportunity to tell my story. I am president of QRRRWN, the Queensland Rural, Regional and Remote Women's Network, have been for a few years now. I'm also the director and secretary of Mobbs Cattle Co, which is our family trustee company. We breed beef cattle and stud cattle. We also do some trading cattle, and we have in the past diversified to civil construction, earthworks and different types of enterprises. I'm also sole director and secretary of Jumbuck Holdings, which is my tourism enterprise, and we have the Jumbuck Motel out in Longreach. I'm the mother of 3 teenagers, and I guess I started my rural, regional and remote journey as a city teacher, fresh from the bush, fresh from the city, moving up to, I guess, regionally to Gladstone initially as a 21-year-old, and then down to Charleville when I was 23.
Wow.
I worked for my husband's family company, in Charleville, and then working from home while I raised the children. I also started volunteering. I think that's where I managed to find and develop a lot of my entrepreneurial skills. And that was through volunteering as a member of the P&C, in the Show Society, dance group, doing cultural association activities, CWA, Sing Australia, all of those things. I started doing projects and events and things for those different community groups, and really grew it and developed a passion for community building. So projects, events, training, community cultural development. I'm very interested in cultural opportunities in regional areas, and applying for grants and doing things like that. I also, while I was raising my children, did more study and did an MBA through USQ, so I would feel more confident in my role in working for the family business. I went into politics as well, which was very interesting. I was a local government councillor on Murweh Shire for a term, and that I found really interesting, being on their finance committee and also their youth committee, taking on those portfolios. But I have managed, I think, in my time to reinvent myself more than most people probably would. So I might have come to the bush as a teacher, and I have done lots of teaching in different schools in different areas in different ways. But I have also been a bookkeeper. I then moved into that finance officer role. We ran a health program on behalf of the Division of General Practice, but I helped to manage a fantastic health prevention program that they had going. I've lived really remotely, so I've had a range of living in Gladstone itself. I lived in the town of Charleville. We were suburban, I would call it, 24 kilometres out of Charleville, and then moving 188 kilometres from town. I think that's where most of my learning happened. Being in that really remote place. As a community, what was out there was really up to the people. I loved being a grazier and breeding cattle with my husband. We're just getting back into that now after many years of drought and selling one property, moving into another. But I've also enjoyed my journey, my reinvention as a motelier, because I love people and I love telling the outback story and getting that link between urban and rural so that we can increase understanding of life out here, what it's like, and to welcome people to a taste of the outback. I'm on a few boards as well. I have been on across my time, and currently Queensland Music Festival is a board I'm on, which I'm absolutely loving to see the passion and the inspiration of Queensland statewide music festival and being that rural voice. I have found that role really important, really rewarding and challenging at the same time. I founded the Longreach Regional Enterprise Group, which is like our Chamber of Commerce out here in Longreach, and also have been asked to chair the Longreach Regional Economic Development Advisory Committee on behalf of the council, which has been fantastic in delivering their economic development plan. I guess my passion and my inspiration is in bringing opportunities to rural, regional and remote Queensland, and that is mirrored through QRRRWN's aim to build robust communities. So it's not just about women, but in recognising the role that women play in these rural businesses and in rural organisations, and how development of their skills and confidence and providing opportunities for women in rural, regional and remote areas can really help build those robust communities that we all want to be part of.
Thank you very much for that, Alison. And of course, you have given me an in-depth look into your profile after I've asked you not to be shy and to make sure that you give me that list, to make sure that we hear what you're involved in. And of course, you're also a project manager, not a project manager, a project almost owner of the WIRE program with USQ Startup Toowoomba and Fire Station 101. Currently, we work very closely on this particular program and developing it something quite superb. And yeah, I can see how you work and how you think many times when I just talk to you around various aspects, and I can see that entrepreneurial mindset coming through. So what I'd like to ask you, and that's something that I'm very interested in, is around the identity of women like yourselves in rural regional areas who's actually acting very, very entrepreneurial. Do you see yourself as an entrepreneur, or, tell me a little bit about how your identity in this space, how you see yourself in this space?
I guess the word entrepreneur to some people can be a bit challenging, and even for me to say, oh yes, I'm an entrepreneur and that makes me something special. I'm a survivor and I'm an optimist, an eternal optimist, and I just make things happen. I'm one of those people that thinks, oh well, something should happen. Well, maybe something should happen. Maybe I should make it happen. And that's where I've started different, the community that I want my children to grow up in is the community that I've tried to create. So there wasn't a dance school, right, let's find a dance teacher, let's get some kids organised, let's organise people. So I guess it's that leadership role in community development, could be classed as entrepreneurism. And my business one is more of a survival. If we needed to go and do something, with little equity, what do we do? Let's go and jump into do this. Let's take off this bigger bite off as big a piece as we can, and chew and chew and chew. And oh, that's not working, righto, what can we do now? And so it's a forced entrepreneurship, possibly. I don't know, that's been part of the challenge of, okay, well, if everything fell over tomorrow, we could just start again and just make it all happen again. So I guess it's that challenge that gives me drive and wanting to seeing where I know things can be done better, or seeing where there's an opportunity and no one's taking advantage of that, or that I could, for my family, take advantage of that opportunity. If you call that entrepreneurship, then I guess that's what I am. It's a label I think that people are reluctant to put their hand up for, but one that when you unpack the parts of entrepreneurship as it is, that I can see lots of people that wouldn't label themselves as that, but that reinvention, that trying to find new ways of working, new ways of achieving the goals that you have, certainly uses the skills of entrepreneurship.
So what would you say, what does success mean to you? What does that look like to you in your mind? What is success to you?
I guess, yeah, there are lots of ways of measuring success, I guess. One is measuring goals, but you have to actually know what those goals are, whether it's financial success or community success, or happy family success, or what that looks like to you. I guess success to me is achieving what you want to achieve out of whatever the project or task is at hand.
Okay, well, I think there's nothing wrong with that. That certainly aligns with my definition as well, especially have all these balls in the air and there's not just one thing going on at a time. So, you obviously enjoy what you're doing, or you would not be doing what you're doing. So what's your favourite aspects of being an entrepreneurial thinking and a doer?
I think the freedom to actually do whatever it is that you want to do. So I mean, you're limited by certain things, absolutely, but you've got the freedom to try new ideas, to reinvent yourself, to try something. If that doesn't work, try something else. If that doesn't work, try something else. I guess the chance to be optimistic about the future, the chance to learn from others and translate that into something that might work for you. That's probably sums that up.
You mentioned before around the issue of, if something doesn't work, then you start again. So that's obviously something that you have experienced before. So that tells me that there's certainly moments of doubt or, being down and you need to pick yourself up and so forth. What would you do in these circumstances, and what would your advice be to others around when you find yourself in that situation?
Ruth, I think I've found myself in that situation probably more than I'd care to really remember or recall, but I embrace that. When I have tried something and it doesn't work, we don't put the big fat failure label on that. We go, right, we've done that, it didn't work, what can we try next? And I was explaining this to a group of ladies the other day. It's embrace that failure, because if the only people that never fail are the people that have never done anything. And if you want to try something new and different and inventive, or something inspirational, sometimes you've got to just step over that safe mark that you're going to succeed, and into the unknown territory, and that's when the magic happens.
So tell me a little bit about your views on what maybe some important skills that entrepreneurial women need to have out there. Maybe reflect a bit on your own skills, but also on what you think other female entrepreneurs need to kind of work on in their journeys.
I guess the one thing that is crucial, it's not a skill you can have, but it's your passion, and that's the one thing that you need to know. And you need to have some thought around, when you're developing your idea, do I love it enough? Do I love it enough to endure through those parts when it does get tough, or when I'm really not sure? Is that bigger picture goal big enough to push through that? Skills that are definitely needed are business skills. And I remember sitting on a plane next to a gentleman who was extremely successful in business. And it was when I was doing my MBA and I was studying, whatever the textbook was, that was my study time. And we struck up a conversation, and he's saying, any investment you make in study will normally repay itself, fairly quickly, and many, many, many times over. So the time that you put into learning and developing business skills will help you run whatever business it is, and that is a transferable skill across community work, across your family finances, across any business that you attempt to run, or any new venture or project that you want to set up. So I guess investing in yourself and learning the skills, it's not rocket science, you just need to learn those business skills.
Is there
people skills is another one?
Yeah, just go ahead. Pardon?
Continue, yeah. So the business skills are really important as an entrepreneur. The people skills and your networks are really crucial. So I find if I have an idea for a new project or a venture or whatever I want to do, I'll think it through. But I always find that my ideas aren't always the finished final idea. But I've got to put it out there to my network of support people, my family, my friends, my business colleagues, whoever, and say, look, I've had this idea. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. The idea will always come back better after you've discussed it with 3 or 4 really key people that you trust, and who will give you honest, good feedback. Or have you thought of this? Or how about that? Or such and such did this and it didn't work. Or such and such tried that idea and it did work, but how about you try it this way? So it will actually develop your idea more than that, just that very first starting point. So using that network to your advantage, I think, is really helpful. It also puts it out there what you're going to do, so it actually will then let the universe provide for you. They'll link you to someone that can help you do some element of that project or business that you need help with.
Any other skills before we move on?
Business skills, people skills. Gosh, there's just so many things that you need to be able to do. I guess nothing at this stage.
What would you say would be your strongest skill that you have? that really worked for you in the past?
I'm a thinker and a problem solver. So I'm one of those people that will go to sleep at night, and after 3 or 4 hours, if I've got something that's been cultivating in the subconscious, I will lie and I'll think and I'll think and I'll think and I'll think of a solution to that problem. One might sound really strange. When I was on council, we had rates, and we had to solve a new way of a new rating system that was fair and equitable to people in our shire. And we thought, and in the middle of the night, I came up with a solution, which was then adopted by the council, and which was fantastic. But it was just thinking, giving yourself time to process your thinking as well. So let your subconscious do a lot of the work. I heard a thing the other day that 99% of our thoughts are unconscious thoughts. That was Amanda Gore, actually. And that 1% that you're actually aware of is great, but let the other 99% do the work. Have a think about it, do some research. What is the question? What's the problem that you need to solve? Pop it in the back burner there, and then away you go. Eventually, your subconscious will help you come to a conclusion.
You mentioned networks and also partnerships, and these are obviously two aspects that's very important in any entrepreneurial journey. I'd like to know a little bit more about your view on partnerships, and maybe some of the things that worked for you in the past in creating strong partnerships, and passing on some lessons, if there's any, that you can pass on to the rest of us.
Okay, so looking at partnerships in the different areas that I've been involved, some have been fantastic and some have been not so fantastic, but at different levels you can have partnerships as well. You can have in your business supporters that are there that want to give you a hand. Or you can have a true partnership where, like the Wire program, we're working together, and people have different roles to play and contribute to make a successful project. I think the thing that works with partnerships is communication, and just that really clear expectations, and that they're clarified, so that the expectations are clarified, that the planning is done, and that each party knows exactly what it is that they are doing, and where they need to take the project on their perspective.
What about your view on networks, but also, I guess, a third aspect here, mentorship? What's your view on networks? I want to get a little bit in your mind as to, what would be some tips even that you can provide around networking, doing that well, because you're obviously a very, very good networker. So maybe first look at the networking aspects, and then maybe give us a bit of your view, or your views also on the aspect of mentorship.
Sure. So thank you for the compliment about being a good networker. It's certainly not something that's come naturally to me. It's something I really do have to work at, and I do feel uncomfortable sometimes networking, with people, but it is something that has certainly helped me, and it's certainly helped me help other people. So having that network around you of people, of business associates, of whoever, of influencers, has helped me, achieve my core vision, my core burning desire is to influence good decision making. That's what I like to do. So having the right people in my network that can help to make that happen, to give that rural perspective, to give that opportunity to women that they may not get, has been a really key driver in pushing me to be networked. Seeing that the Longreach region, the businesses here didn't have a united voice, and that the council had no one to ask their opinion on anything. Other people coming to town, state government departments, whoever it was coming to town, well, what did the business people think? There was no way of actually reaching those people. So by developing that network that is Longreach Regional Enterprise, they've now got a point of contact. There's now an opportunity for those businesses to come together and to do training, and to have a supportive network of knowing what's happening in the local economy, with the local government, with other departments that want to speak with us. So that network has been hugely important. in terms of the QRRRWN network, I have seen many times how that network has supported women from across Queensland, from the most remote places, to actually find out about opportunities available to them. So one recent example was an attendee at our conference last year was speaking to another lady that was at the conference last year. So one was volunteering to help with the committee. Another one came to the conference. They got talking about, they were both distance ed mums, but from different distance ed schools and different locations, probably 1,200 kilometres apart, came together and realised that what one was doing, the other one could do as well, and was so just changed her life that she has now moved and done, I won't go into the details of what she's done, but has changed how she lives and how she's worked, and that's allowed her to do so many other things in her life that she's gone on to really achieve and be successful in her business and much happier in her family. So that network of bringing people together has helped those people to connect. And other ways, particularly with young people. Another example was that the busload of young people that came to our conference that wanted to connect with other people in their chosen fields of endeavour. So I read a list of these young ladies' fields of endeavours. So Catherine's interested in becoming a vet, such and such is interested in health, such and such, and where their fields of interest were. And if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak with these young girls about their professional journey in those fields, come and meet with them at the youth table. There was a meeting spot, and within 15 minutes, each of those girls had a person to speak with that was from that field. So the small community where they came from didn't have a vet or didn't have access to different professional fields that these young women were interested in. By putting it out there, they then had someone to speak to. And some of those relationships have endured. And one of those girls in particular then was prompted by the lady that she was speaking to apply for a bursary. So she then got a bursary on to study in that field of endeavour that she would never have known existed had she not used that network to actually find out about it. So some really great examples of networking and mentoring as well. So those ladies then were, unofficial. It wasn't a formal mentoring program, but they were someone that could talk through with the young ladies about, their aspirations and their dreams and about the practical realities of those careers and really help them. I guess informal mentoring is quite rampant throughout the QRRRWN network, and it is our dream to have a more formal more formal mentoring program, and I hope that the WIRE program can begin to deliver some of that.
Thinking a little bit about, some of the maybe people that you have met, and I know you read a lot around business, the entrepreneurial field, etc. Is there a particular maybe person or, a couple of people that you really admire in this field?
So yes, there have been some really wonderful people that I admire as mentors or as books I've read, or even just members of my family that have shown me the way and taught me to question. One was my aunt who had to reinvent herself, and I watched her go through a process. I didn't watch her, I was too young at the time, but I have heard the stories of her starting her life and as a teacher or as a mother, going into teaching, going into doing other elements of business and being fantastically successful, but having to just, I guess the message I got from her was, if you don't know how to do it, just find out how. You'll work it out. And I think today we have Mr. Google there to help us. We have so many different opportunities to find out how things can be done, that there's really no excuse. If you don't know how to do something, find out how to do it or find someone that can do it for you. And I think that's been wonderful. Georgie Somerset's been a great mentor for me and many other people. And I guess she's the person that's always tapped people on the shoulder and said, hey, you should do this. Or how about you do this? Or how about have a think about this? Or have you seen this opportunity? And it's her massive network of people that has brought in so many opportunities to people and particularly to women in rural, regional and remote areas, and has always encouraged us, all of her mentees, I guess you could say, to be that voice for rural, regional and remote remote, particularly and not always necessarily on behalf of women, but so we have that voice there and that we are represented. You can do this. Go and what will you do with this next? And she's always one to question and query where you're going with that, or what will you do next, or how is this going for you, or have you put that person in touch with that person, or what about this person here? Have you seen what they're up to, and how about you go and find out more about it? So I really admire the way she, I guess, orchestrates and manoeuvres amongst the rural, regional, remote cohort, and yeah, it's fantastic to watch. Other people that have inspired me, I guess, looking around, everywhere there is inspiration. Like, there are people. I'm inspired by people like Joy McClymont, who in the middle of nowhere has started her business. And some words she said to me a few months ago now was, if you want something badly enough, you'll make it happen. If you really want something badly enough, you'll make it happen. It doesn't always work. Don't always make things happen, but that's their words to live by. If you really want something badly enough, you'll make it happen.
I'd like to move a little bit to another topic now, and that's all around strategies. So, do you believe there's a particular formula or maybe a pattern that's important for female entrepreneurs to follow, and that will kind of help them in progressing their journeys? Tell me a little bit about your views on that.
Well, I guess this goes back to the developing the idea stage, first of all, and refining your idea. So researching everything you can about that topic, or that what have people done before? What have people done in other countries? Let's not reinvent the wheel. How can we do amazing corporate plans for whoever? And what's the best practice in this in other areas? What's the new and innovative way of doing it in other countries, in Australia? Who's done this really well? And I'm not saying take their ideas and run with them. What I'm saying is research everything. Pick out the bits that you, just like motherhood, really. You get 17 pieces of advice on when to burp the baby. Pick the one that works for you and go with it. Same for business. It's a similar thing. So research, find out, get as much advice and information as you can to develop your ideas. So don't always just go with your first idea. And then develop your plan. I'm a bit of a planner, a bit of a list writer. So get that. Think it through from start to finish. When you start, what's this going to look like? What's this going to look like? How will you afford this? How will you make this happen? Who's going to do this part of it? So you really thought it through from start to finish. And then just get on with it. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Get on with it. And then when you've done it, the crucial part is review what you've done. So think, plan, do it, and then review it. So look at what you've done. Has it been successful? What hasn't been? What learnings have you taken from what hasn't been successful? And how do you redefine your plan so that you can go again with more chance of success? Or what other information do you need? Or what other skills do you need to bring into the team that will help you get where you need to go?
Now, you've had a long journey of doing so many things, and sometimes we learn also from others' kind of failures. So would you mind maybe talking about one particular difficult situation that you found yourself in? And also then, how did you get out of that? Or even maybe you didn't and you moved on to something else?
Okay, so I'll talk about our beef cattle enterprise. So we went into a property with very little equity. We had grand plans of developing up this really rundown property and then selling it, within 18 months. It was very, very remote. And we thought, yep, okay, I can do that. We can do that. I'll teach the kids. We'll just do fencing and make roads and put yards up and fix the house, and make that all happen. In the meantime, global financial crisis hit, real estate market, boom, gone. So we really had to batten down the hatches, and we had to survive, I guess, the best way we could. We had started spending the money to do the development work, and we had to continue that on. We had made this property into a nice, viable proposition now, but with the real estate market the way it was, just couldn't sell it. So I guess the way around that was the reinvention, was the diversification, was the looking at what are the options here. So we battened down the hatch. We took on a partner. We battened down the hatches and went into, let's not spend any more money developing this place because the return's not going to be there. It'll take 5, 6, 7 years for this cycle of the market to turn. What can we do in the meantime? And that's when the other entities, like other enterprises, were developed. So we went into trading cattle. We went into, until of course then the next thing hit with the live export trade ceasing. So then we went into the civil construction, the earthworks. So we had graders and dozer doing work on roadworks and getting gravel and that sort of thing. That work finished, what do we do next? Let's reinvent. And so just taking stock of where you are, I guess getting good advice, or advice, whether it's good or not, we'll wait and tell you in 5 or so years, about what to do and what you possibly could do. And then I guess not thinking too small. So when I was thinking, right, what do we do next? There's hardly any income from this property. We've got these other enterprises that have had their life cycle, they're finished. What should we do next? We could go and get jobs and that would be great, or we could go and buy another enterprise and we could do that, or how about I start doing this? And I was thinking quite small. And an advisor we were working with said, no, you've got all these skills, you can do all these things, why don't you do this instead? And then that was the motel idea of, why don't you look for a bigger, more established business? Don't start something from scratch, just try and think about doing something that's already established and jump in and swim. And that's what we did. So that was sort of a different way of thinking about how do we get out of that situation and into a new field. So it was a complete reinvention again, and it was something we hadn't done before. But like I said, you find out, you learn, you research, you learn, you lean on your mentors. We fortunately had some really lovely mentors that helped us through that transition into a new industry, and just go again.
Have you used social media quite extensively in promoting your businesses, or what role? Tell me a little bit about the role that social media kind of play in some of the ventures that you're currently involved in, whether that's community or whether it's your own businesses.
Yeah, look, we've noticed a real change in the use of media and marketing, particularly within QRRRWN, and looking at coming up to the conference that we have each year and how our marketing budget will be spent on that. And print media is no longer the most important thing to us. Social media is a much more instant way, and it's actually that two-way communication that social media lets us have that helps the network engage with its members and with the broader community more widely. So tourism is similar. It's very interactive, and having that social media. I posted a photograph of some emu daddy and chicks walking down the road in Longreach. 16,000 people liked that photo. I couldn't believe it. It had gone everywhere. So that was just a really lovely thing to say, this is what's happening in our life out here, and to be able to share that instantly. It wasn't a great photo, it was a dreadful photo, but it was real and it was gorgeous and people seemed to really like it. I guess with QRRRWN, it's a way of us filtering everything that's out there and sharing with our members the things that we think they might be interested in, or people that follow our page. So there's thousands of people that we're posting information to around, what is there that's happening in the space of rural, regional and remote, and how can people be involved. And so it might just be, a survey on quad bike safety, or it might be an opportunity for a grant or something that is relative, that relates to rural, regional, remote. It might be one of our members that's in the news or on the Today Show, or doing something fantastic, and we can share that with the broader world to say, look at these fantastic, successful rural, regional and remote women. So absolutely, social media is our very number one way of communicating directly with members and the broader public from QRRRWN, and also from a tourism perspective.
Could you maybe share what would be one important tool or a couple of important tools that you use or that you have used in the past to progress your entrepreneurial journeys, your ventures, creating opportunities and so forth? That could be online, or it could be any tool that you think others might benefit from knowing about.
I guess one is Dropbox. I can't live without Dropbox or some sort of cloud server. So I run a number of different businesses as well as community groups, and everything goes in the Dropbox. So that is that real team and partnership environment where we can all add to and take out of that Dropbox, the information that we need to run the business or the enterprise that we're running. So that's been one that's been a game changer for me. And people that can't use Dropbox, that are on committees that I'm on or on working on things there, I guess I would love to be able to have the time to drive 6 or 7 hours to their house and sit down and say, right, let's go through this step by step. And really encourage people to have a look at Dropbox and what it can do for you. Of course, don't forget to back it up. We have had people lose lots of precious things on Dropbox by things being deleted by other members. So knowing how that works is really important. But that's been a game changer for us in terms of you don't have 5,000 emails to search through and where was the latest version of the marketing plan for the conference. You can go to it, you can see who's done it, what's been updated, where it's up to. So that's fantastic. I guess the other one is Log Me In. So I guess even though living remotely, access to the internet is really tricky sometimes and is quite fraught, it has been something I can't live without. So I can work 1,015 kilometres away from my motel and it's like I'm sitting there in the office, and in real time I can be training my staff or showing them where or how to do something on the computer. So that's certainly, and there are lots of different versions of Log Me In or Team Player or some Team Viewer or different ones like that that have certainly been very helpful.
What I'd like you to talk a little bit about is, you talked about some more difficult times and how you overcome difficult times in your journey. When you reflect back on your journey, what would be one of the biggest overall lessons that you've learned that you can share with us as women, and that we can kind of learn from that experience?
I think back yourself has been the biggest thing. I didn't feel for many years that I could legitimately speak on behalf of rural women because I was a city girl. I had the imposter syndrome. I was not, I was the daughter-in-law. I was the kid from the city that didn't know anything. But I actually have been living in rural Australia for my whole adult life. Since I was 23, I've been west of the Great Divide. So it's in a range of regional, rural, and extremely remote situations. So I think backing yourself and understanding that you are enough, that what you have to offer is what you have to offer, and if you have got the inspiration and the will to learn and to do, then that's all you can ask of yourself, and back yourself to be confident. I guess to put yourself out there and don't be afraid to.
Alison, we're coming to the latter part of the interview, and I know you do have a lot of balls in the air. You're doing so many amazing things. Looking into the future, is there one particular, and there's probably more than just one, but one amazing thing that you want to do that would create a difference in a particular space? I assume it could be in the regional rural space, or just maybe talk a little bit about a vision that you have for something quite spectacular as you move forward.
I guess the thing I want to achieve is having people develop the confidence to have a go themselves. And I guess the legacy I want to leave is that I've inspired other people to step up or to share their story, because sharing their story is often not about them. Sharing their story is actually so inspirational to others who can learn from their story and align with the feelings that you go through when you tell your story. And I've been there, I've done that, that happened to me, or whatever. And looking where you can go when you really put your heart and mind to something, I think is probably the legacy I'd like to leave. And I guess that's where my investment in in trying to support women to step up and tapping women on the shoulder and learning from my predecessors, looking back over the last perhaps 24 years of QRRRWN and thinking, we have come so far. Those women have done so much for us. What is it that we can do next that will help women to feel that they are legitimate business owners, that they can be called farmers if that's what they choose to be, that they can speak on behalf of rural Australia even if they weren't born in rural Australia, that they can have a strong and important message to share. I think that that's probably a good one. In terms of a specific project, I'm really looking forward to the WIRE program and seeing how that develops and how we can actually make that into a self-sustaining project that will be an enabler for many, many people if we can make it broadly accessible in ways that people can engage with well. The mentoring side of thing that QRRRWN has had as a dream for many years of connecting women with mentors to help them progress on their journey would be one I'd like to tick off the list of projects I have done. So watch this space and we'll see how we go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Alison, where can we find you online for, if women want to connect with you?
So QRRRWN has a website, www.QRRRWN.org.au. So it's the RRR for Rural, Regional and Remote. Or you can come to the Jumbuck Motel, jumbuckmotel.com.au, and we can certainly look after you if you need accommodation in Longreach in beautiful sunny Western Queensland.
Alison, thank you very much for your time and I guess your wisdom, sharing your experiences, I guess your views and letting us look a little bit inside your mind. I certainly constantly learning from others around you and same, with currently working with you, seeing how entrepreneurial you are, and I'm very looking forward to the impact that you will be having also in the WIRE program as we move forward. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Rita.